Howdy, howdy, howdy. A good Monday to all of y'all. I hope y'all are doing fantastic. Before I start talking Big Brother, and Lord knows we got a lot to talk about. I have so much fun watching Big Brother. Before I do that, a big old shout out, SKD143. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love the reality TV fans of the world. But I especially love the Big Brother reality TV fans, and even more so the folks that are out here chatting with me on a Monday evening. I hope y'all are doing great. I hope y'all are enjoying the season as much as I am. Ah, it was so much fun watching this weekend. I'm amazed I could even open my eyes up this evening because I haven't been getting a lot of sleep. It's certainly been a challenge. But nights like Saturday night make it all worthwhile. So we're going to talk all about it. But before we do, let me see who all is out here. Ma, hey, Ma, you're first one in. How are you doing, my friend? Amanda Lowe as well. Hey, Amanda. Jake the Horror Movie Geek. Brian Hostetler, Joshy P, Andy W. Man, all my friends are here. Lawrence Santiago, Mark Taylor, Fred Benson, joining Professor Hogg. Well, I appreciate the promotion. Thank you. Patty, Mark, I don't know if I told you Hattie or not. Kelly Rogers, PG, Cindy Hire. Hey, Cindy. Kiki as well. Paula Scar, Marilyn Sutherland. Man, there's so many of y'all I had. Y'all know what? It just makes me feel so honored to get to talk to y'all this evening. Angie Hung, and Elizabeth Kingray, Joshy P, Carly Hunt. Did I miss anyone? I think Holly A and Joanne. All right, we're gonna just not shut it down. We're gonna start the conversation. And who out there said I'm in the diary room? I wish. Man, do y'all know what I would give to get back into this diary room one more time, just to talk to the cameras, talk to the house guests. Such a magical place. I remember it so well. Now, this day in history, normally I throw out some, so-and-so started a war or something was invented. I got a little personal day in history, and not so much day, but we'll just call it a week because I'm going to cheat a little bit. On this week, more or less, 3 years ago, I got voted out of the house. I won the battle back just 30 minutes or so later. A few hours after that, I won HOH. And so 3 years ago this week, about this time, I was HOH, getting close to finishing up my reign. But yeah, it was a glorious 3 weeks ago. So incredible. I went through in the span of just a couple of days every emotion that you could imagine inside the Big Brother house. From getting blindsided, I certainly understand the idea of getting blindsided. So I kind of empathize with a few people that are in a house right now. I won. I had my golden moment, so I can certainly empathize with other people who have won a competition when they absolutely needed to this season. I've gone through the stress of having to try to pick people without getting blood on your hands, and yet trying to further your game and your relationships and everything else. All of that took place that week makes me so, again, sympathetic, excited, interested in everything that's been going on this week because I relate to every single bit in a very special way. Now, before we start talking specifically about Big Brother 24, let me just throw this out there. There's too much going on for me not to talk about spoilers this evening. I know sometimes last year I said we're only going to talk about what went on up to the episode. Not tonight. So spoiler warning to any of y'all who did not watch the live feeds, who only watched last night's 2-hour episode. If that's the case and you don't want to find out what's happened since then, I hate to say it, but you may need to just shut it down for a little bit. But that doesn't mean you can't come back and watch a little bit later because these are recorded. They'll be out on YouTube for, I guess, as long as YouTube exists. So there will be spoilers. Don't say I didn't warn you. All right. Oh, what a fun weekend watching this happen. Some comp beast in the house. Yeah, during my season, Sam won his first 2 veto competitions, and it really set the mark. Everyone from that point on was looking at Sam as, he's the guy that if you get house guest choice, you want to bring Sam in. You want to do whatever you can to stay on Sam's good side because obviously he's good at competitions. This year, 3 in a row for Michael. It amazes me. I would not have looked at him. I knew he's a super fan, but I would not have looked at him and envisioned him as the guy who was going to dominate the early competitions. Isn't that amazing? All right, I see Linda Newman right now saying running away from spoilers. I'm sorry, Linda. I absolutely understand and sympathize, but I am aware that you're out here. Please come back and check this out a little bit later. And sorry, but I know I'm going to spoil it for you, whether accidental or intentional. So I just wanted to warn you for that. Skirvin Boyer said today was spicy. Today was fun. Well, we're going to talk all about it. All right, a few questions real quick. Brian saying, great blindside today, and the aftermath is legendary. Absolutely. And then Kelly Rogers saying today has been the big brother we've wanted. I agree. From Saturday night on, it has just been, it's been the big brother we want for a lot of different reasons. And again, we got spoilers, so I'll go ahead and just talk about it. We've got the new alliance that's formed, but it's not just any alliance. They're calling themselves the Leftovers, and they're the people that I cheer for. And I think they're the people that a lot of y'all cheer for. They're the people that we thought were done, that they didn't have a chance, that they were just the hanger-ons, that were just going to last for a little while, and then they get pushed off to the side by this strong alliance or a strong couple of alliances in the house, and suddenly they found a way. People started comparing notes in this house, and suddenly it dawned on them that there were one or two people that were involved in every single little alliance and connection and conversation, everything else that was taking place. And then they came together and said, let's not get ourselves picked off as we go through the season. And I love it. I really like it. I've told y'all before, I've been cheering for Michael and for Brittany for a while. I said kind of since the beginning. Doesn't mean their game's perfect, especially Brittany. Brittany still needs to be toning it down a little bit with her talking, I think. But then they've got Kyle, they've got the other guys in there, and they finally figured something out. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. For those of you who may not have watched today, they had the veto ceremony. And let's just say that the people put up for nomination and those not put up for nomination were both about the same level of amazed. And the house has been blowing up ever since that point in time. So again, spoilers. I'll just say it for the first 10 minutes and then we'll move on from that. But as a spoiler, remember Brittany and Michael were on the block. They won their veto. Props to them. Anytime you win something to save your own tail, I got mad respect for you. But they won the veto, pull themselves off. The idea, at least for the girls and Pose, Pack, and all that side of the house, the old school alliances, was to put up Nicole and Taylor, send Taylor out the door. In fact, at one point, Amira was talking about it. She said, I think the whole house knows what's going to happen. It's not even a mystery at this point. We don't even need to ask Turner who he's putting up. And then she says, I figured Taylor would probably go home. An 11-0 unanimous vote. Well, that may be the case, but it's not going to be this week, Amira. Now, instead, Amira and Terrence got put on the block. We didn't get to see the veto, but we got to see the aftermath, and it was brilliant. It was like a symphony orchestra watching some of these people spin up the other side and play their little part in this deal. I watched Monty going on with, who was in there? Alyssa and Nicole and Amira. Monty going on and on, like saying, that Taylor's coming after me. Why in the world would I ever support Turner doing something like that? And they're all saying, no, we get it. We know you wouldn't have done anything like that. You couldn't have known about it, Monty. No, heck no. Why? That's the worst thing in the world for me. He's part of it. He's doing that. Joseph is talking to him, saying, oh, Turner is the worst wild card. We can't trust him to do anything. We had this all figured out. We were going to send Taylor out. Now he's screwed us all over. Joseph's part of it as well. Joseph's trying to get all the blame pushed over on the Turner. So if one of the old school or the Girls Alliance members wins HOH, they'll put Turner up and think everyone is going to vote out Turner. They'll just turn around and vote out his duo, Jasmine, instead. It's a symphony, my friends. Can you see the smile on my face? And part of it is indeed because some of the people who've been in power have felt very confident in their position. And y'all know me. I've spent a lot of time saying I don't want anyone ever in the Big Brother house feeling too confident or too comfortable in their position. I always want everyone scrambling and a little bit nervous. And that wasn't the case. Amira was talking a little earlier, saying, that when they recruited me from LinkedIn, at first I was worried that this was going to be really hard, that I wouldn't do very well. Once I got in the house, I found out this is easy. This is an easy game to play. This is an easy game to win. Well, maybe not so much, Amira. I enjoy, and I know online there's a lot of people, and a lot of y'all probably as well, that are enjoying seeing this all happen because of some of the behavior we've seen earlier in the season. It's been talked about, and I don't want to keep going back to that, but there's certainly when people are in position of power, it's easy to kind of mean girl against a few people, and so there's a lot of people seeing that side getting their comeuppance, right? They're having to kind of be on the bottom for a little bit and struggle and figure out how to work it. And I absolutely get that part, but from my standpoint, I like the chaos as long as I'm not in there. I like seeing the underdogs getting their day and showing that everyone in that house, for the most part, everyone in that house deserves to be in that house and is a potentially good player, and everyone should be considered as a potential threat. Yeah, expect the unexpected, right? Don't ever assume that someone's just a slam dunk. So much conversation over these past few weeks about we'll just Taylor, Terrence, Turner. I'd throw out half a dozen Indy, throw out half a dozen names. Yeah, they're easy targets. We'll just get them out later. Let's go for some other target right now. There are no easy. Well, Pooch maybe was an easy target, but other than that, there's no easy targets inside the Big Brother house. I'm loving it, guys. Can you tell just the way I'm smiling and looking? All right, a few questions. And tonight, I figure we're going to talk all Big Brother, and I figure there's a lot of talk about Big Brother 24. If you have just general questions about Big Brother, my season, anything else, ask me. I'll give you the inside scoop as much as I can. All right, let's see. Ken T, the feeds are smoking hot right now. I know it. I know it. I've been watching all afternoon. It's tough. I have a 9-to-5 job that I'm doing, so try to do that and some feeds over in the background as I've certainly, focus has to be on the job, right? But I've certainly spent some time during my breaks to go back and catch up and watch it all. And there have been times where it's like, well, do I watch these screens or do I watch these screens? Because there's so many conversations going on right now. Maureen Carroll saying Nicole has lost her mind. Yeah, that's the other beauty about it, guys. For those of you who may not have been watching since the veto ceremony, I knew what was going to happen. I knew the plan to put up Terrence and Nicole and Terrence and Amira. I knew that was going to happen. What I didn't really think all the way through, and I knew the other side was just going to kind of blow up when they found out what was going on. The other side has turned on each other. They to some extent. They're all trying to figure out what's going on. They're wondering if some of them think that Turner's just this lone wolf that did this all on his own. Nicole's saying that. Others are saying no, he had to have some support from some people. But they're turning on each other on who may have known that this was going to happen, who didn't. We had Nicole and Daniel blow up at each other over just dumb stuff. Nicole was out talking to some of the girls, and Daniel tried to come over, and she said, 5 minutes. You got to go away for 5 minutes. He got all chapped at that. So those two have been fighting. Nicole got upset at Alyssa because she felt like Alyssa had said some things in front of Indy that kind of blew up or put some blame on Nicole. And so she was upset at Alyssa, ran out and all upset. And then Alyssa came out in tears. And so we've got the other side just going at each other because they don't know what's going on. They're in disarray. And again, the Leftovers Alliance are all playing their parts, and they're doing a good job. You just know that they're sitting there watching some of this, and they're wanting to just go, but they're not. They're saying, I don't know what's going on. I'm lost as well. It's great. All right, Andy Berger saying, watching everyone scramble today is priceless. It was the perfect blindside. You're right. And here's the thing. We don't get that many blindsides in Big Brother, especially the modern day Big Brother, because everyone is so worried about protecting other people, their jury management, if it's past jury. But even before that, I don't know, the idea that very few people in the house don't have anyone that are supporters. And so, you kind of think, well, I'm not going to completely blindside the other side because then their friends will get mad. So I'll give them a heads up. We saw that with Pooch, where everyone last minute told some of Pooch's friends what was going to happen. You don't always get through blindsides, but this time, absolute blown away. They had no clue. And it's great watching afterwards. Someone asked Nicole, it may have been Daniel or Alyssa, saying, do you think Taylor knew that this was happening? Well, yeah, she did know. But they asked Nicole, and Nicole said, 0 chance. Not a chance in the world. I'm holding Nicole's hand or Taylor's hand. And when they announced it, She started crying and shaking. Taylor had no clue what was going on. Yeah, she did. Yeah, Nicole, she's pulled one over on you. And here's why I like that even more so than regular, because Nicole had just gotten through earlier talking to Taylor and saying, yeah, I appreciate you. Yeah, I appreciate your apology. And, just be careful about the way you word things from now on, Taylor. And, trying to act like she's making nice with Taylor. And she went back and told, I think, Amira and Jasmine, said, she believed everything I said. Yeah, I lies, tell all these lies to her, and she's believing all of it. Ha, 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 ha. Well, Taylor's kind of got you fooled right now, Nicole, as well. So it's hard. I do this show. I do the morning recaps. I try to be very objective, unbiased, as less judgmental as possible, because I understand how tough it is to play the game. So I try to stay positive. And so I'm not necessarily happy to see the other side getting theirs. Although, again, I don't want anyone feeling too comfortable. But I'm just happy to see that it's turned into a real game, and everyone is, from this point on, everyone is nervous. No one's going to be just sitting back thinking this is easy. Nicole at one point said, I'm not throwing any more HOH competitions. If y'all want me to throw any more, there's no chance. I got to play for my life. That's what I want from every single player inside that house. So, yeah, pretty good. It's pretty good. All right, let's see. What else do we have on here? Let's see. This hour of Cliff Notes Live is more exciting than the aired episodes. Well, Angie, thank you so much. I can show emotion in here. I can show my true emotion. Unlike in the house where I'd be doing the same thing. I'd be walking around saying, I can't believe who did that. Who? I feel like I need to impersonate Fessy here. Who flipped? Who flipped? Well, the whole half of the house flipped, guys. All right, let's see a few of these. Skirvin Boru said, do you think a moment like this, it's better to instigate and stir drama to put a target on someone or to stay quiet? Well, here's the deal. I believe when you're pulling a con, a good con is when you get away with it. A better con is when you get away with it and you don't get blamed. The best con is when you get away with it and you can pass the blame on to your enemy. And I think that's what's happened here. So is it better to stay quiet or is it better to instigate? It depends. You know who I like right now is someone like Kyle. Kyle is responsible for orchestrating a whole lot of this. He brought a lot of information that Alyssa had given to him. I feel like he brought the guys together and kind of got a lot of this momentum going. But now I feel like he has stepped back just a little bit. Monty's out doing his stuff. Joseph's out doing his stuff. It's not that Kyle isn't still talking, but I feel like Kyle is, y'all know, I was like this as a kid. And yeah, y'all know there's a lot of other people when you're a kid, it's that kid in the classroom who always kind of starts something, but then he backs off and lets all the other people respond and get in trouble and everything else. And I feel like that's what Kyle's done. So he kind of instigated it in a way, but now he's stepping back a little bit and letting other people ramp up. So if there are repercussions, eventually the other side's going to have to figure out that this truly was not just a lone wolf moment by Turner, but was a part of the house working together. If they don't find it out now, they're going to find it out soon. And once that happens, then they're going to start looking to blame the people who very obviously were spinning them the wrong direction. So you got to remember, Big Brother is a game of 12 or 13 weeks. So no matter how positive and how good things are looking right now, you got to run. It's not going to be like this forever. As much as people are cheering for the leftovers and excited and seeing what's happening, at some point, that power position is going to flip back. The other side's going to get in power. These people are going to be under threat and trying to survive and fight, and they may be turning against each other as well. So you got to position yourself for the long run. And so I feel like instigate as much as it takes to make things happen, but then step back a little bit. And that's what I feel like I did during my season. I knew that the only way to survive in that house was to last. I didn't want my friends to go home, but I knew that I had to stick around long enough for that big alliance to explode, implode, whatever. And so I made deals. I made a deal on my HOH to survive for just a little bit longer. And I kind of instigated. I fed Christy information about Mickey. I fed Mickey information about Christy. I kind of made sure that they were always a little suspicious of each other. And yet at the same time, I wasn't so direct in my accusations or so direct in giving the information that people started pointing fingers at me, kind of like they did with Nicole. If you push too hard, people will band up together and get even tighter. So you don't do that. The way to instigate is you just whisper a little bit. You just throw out these throwaway comments because you know everyone's paying attention to every word that's said in there. So before you know it, you can kind of come in there and work your magic a little bit, then step back. It's like lighting a fuse on the fireworks. Light that fuse, then get back as far as you can and watch the fun in front of you. And so, yeah, that's what I see going on right now. All right, Tim Pipe. This season needs Cliff in the house to do some pranking and put some fun in the house. I could have some fun in that house. I had fun. I don't know what it is. They spend all their time playing bumper pool. Of course, my season, we've spent a lot of time playing backgammon. So yeah, I'm sure we face the same accusations, but they don't seem to be doing nearly as much just to have fun in there, just acting goofy. And I don't know why. I mean, I saw Nicole trying to scare some people. So she's trying, but yeah, I'd have fun in there. Because if you play Big Brother 24 hours a day, no one can do that. Everyone has to have a moment here or there. And, we already saw Paloma left. Brittany had a breakdown in the have not room. Was that Saturday night? She just absolutely for an hour or two kind of lost it. Now she pulled herself together, but we saw her stressed. We've seen Daniel today was just very upset, and we see everyone handling that stress in that house in different ways, but it is incredibly stressful, and you just have to take breaks. Last season, for 23, they had that big blue couch interviews and all that, and that was their way of relieving stress. During my season, it was Tommy doing his flash mob dance or whatever. Me, it was all about the pranks and just doing something that let people for even just a couple minutes forget about the game itself. And then you go back to the game about stabbing people in the back and everything else that we have to do in there. But yeah, I'd have put me in a costume and I'll creep around outside those mirrors or under the couches and grab some ankles and scare some people. And yeah, I'll have fun doing it. All right. Mark Taylor, what do you think of Brittany's game so far? Seems kind of off. And I don't know. I like Brittany. I truly do. I always cheer on the super fans. I think Brittany has been trying so hard to find a place to land that she has jeopardized her whole game because everyone knows that she's looking for a place to land. And it's gotten to the point where, lots of times I'll be watching the feeds and someone will say, oh God, here comes Brittany again. She just follows us around everywhere. There's such a thing as trying just a little bit too hard. And I feel like maybe that's where she's at right now. She knows what needs to be done. And she really summed it up well during her little session in the Have Not room where she said, I just don't know how to be charismatic and friendly the way Alyssa is, that I'm an introvert at heart. And I just don't know how to just kind of hang with everyone else. And I think that's the first step in this game. If you're only talking to people because you need something from them or because you want to try to convince them of something, well, pretty soon people kind of get tired of hanging out with you. And I feel like to some degree, sometimes she's done a little bit of that and a little less of just hanging out and just acting goofy and telling funny stories and things like that. And that's what it takes. And I get it. She says she's an introvert. I kind of am too. Now there's a switch that I feel like I can turn on and just go 180 degrees the other direction. But I don't mind just sitting home alone and watching some TV and doing introvert kind of things as well. But I feel like she's just not always quite. I don't feel like she's developing the type bonds that maybe she needs for long term. But having said all that, I do feel like her game's risen quite a bit in these last few days because suddenly we've got these guys saying, when she came to us and she gave us this information, she was telling the truth. Yeah, she wasn't lying. She's trying to help us out. So I feel like there's some more respect for Brittany in at least part of the house. Now, the other side of the house, they've been upset with her because they know that she spilled some secrets and things like that. And so I don't know. I still think, based on what I'm seeing now, Brittany will stick around. I think she'll be there for quite a while. Do I think she'll make it to the very end? Probably not, but yeah, you never know. I keep working with Michael and work off of each other's strengths and weaknesses, and who knows what's going to happen. Everyone's a possibility of making it to the very end right now, except maybe for Amira. Maybe. We'll see. Probably not. We'll see. All right. Janet Johnson, do you think the leftovers will stick together? No. Unfortunately, no, I don't think they'll stick together. You really have four or two different groups, I think. You've got Brittany and Michael on one side, and probably Taylor. I'll throw Taylor in as well. So you've got Brittany, Michael, and Taylor on one side, and then you've got Turner and Kyle and Monty and Joseph on the other side. The four guys. What do they call themselves now? I can't remember what they're. There's so many alliances in this house, but you got the four guys, and then you've got Taylor and Brittany and Michael. And I think at some point you'll see a split amongst those lines, but that's okay. There's only one person that can win the game. I don't expect the leftovers to last forever, but I'd like to see them last for at least the next 3, 4, 5 weeks. Get to the point where they're the majority and there's maybe a few other people from the other side. And then you're going to see people trying to pull in numbers if they feel like they're on the bottom, and other people. Yeah, eventually it's just destiny. They will break up, but they don't have to last forever. They just have to last long enough to take some of the targets out on the other side, and then they can go after each other. And that's the way the game is played. So, yeah, but I think they'll at least last for a few weeks at this point in time. I think they've got a pretty good game plan. Now, the other side's not going to be nearly as cocky as they were just a day or two ago, right? All right, Joshy P. How come the live feeds go down so long for veto meetings and nominations? The anticipation today was insane. All right, let me give y'all a little inside scoop on how nominations and veto ceremonies work. For nominations, we get the call, diary room calls, whoever the HOH is. Everyone else is told, go to one of the two bedrooms. Go hang out in the bed. Sometimes it's outdoors if the weather's not too hot, but usually it's the back two bedrooms. And they just say, split up 50-50. We don't care how you split up, but just go back there. And so we go back there and we have to sit there and act concerned and nervous. And, like the weight of the world is on our shoulders while the cameras capture all the shots of us so they can show a little 2-second clip of it during the veto or the nomination ceremony on the episode. So we do a lot of that. While all of that's happening, the HOH goes into the diary room, is given a briefcase with all the keys in it. I mean, there really are keys with everyone's names on it. And you're told you need to go in and pick the two people that you want to put on the block. And I think at one point you're shown the keys, and maybe we have to go outside, stare at the memory wall for a while, and who am I going to put up? Do that for a little bit, then go back in. And I remember being told, once you take the two keys and you put them in the box, that's it. There's no going back at this point in time. It's real. The picks you make in that diary room are real picks. There's no involvement. There's no encouragement from diary rooms. It's straight up, here's everyone's keys. Pick the two you want, put them in the box. But once you do, you're done. And so all of that happens. And then finally you go back out, and then they have to get all the people lined up around the table. And the only thing I think Big Brother wants to make sure of is that every person around the table isn't blocking anyone else. They've got all the cameras set up so that they can get reactions of everyone. Now, by this point in time, they know who the two picks are. So probably somewhere up there, they're saying, yeah, I don't care about those other 14, but make sure you're zoomed in on Cliff and Kat to get their expressions, whatever. So that's why it takes so long. Veto ceremony is the same way. Normally we go outside. We have to sit out there while the veto winner goes in and does all their judging and all that. And then they have to come outside and, hey guys, it's time for the veto ceremony, and act very serious and intent. And during my season, there were always one or two people that are trying to make faces at the person while they're doing it to make them screw up. And I was hot out there. I gotta say I was a little chapped a few times when there were people being silly out there when I just wanted to get inside before I sweated through my entire shirt and all of that. But that's why it takes so long, because there's TV cameras involved and they want to make sure they get the perfect shots and all of that. But having said all of that, it doesn't take that long because we repeat it over and over again. The nomination you see, that's it. It's a one-time only deal. There's no reshoots or anything like that. And it's the same with the veto ceremony. That's all real emotions, real everything. So there you go. All right. PG, how long do you think the bestie twist will last? Well, that's curious. I think Turner thought it'd last till the final 5. Not a chance. I think it will last till jury, maybe. I could see that. Last until they go to the jury phase. And once they get to the jury phase, Julie comes on and says, all right, guys, I got some news for you. All of you who are left are now members of the Big Brother 24 jury. And from this point on, you're playing individually. I could see that happening. So what's that? We've lost 2 people so far. So we need 3 more before we get to jury. So another 3 weeks. I could see that. Part of it maybe as well, how well is this twist working? If this week's worked pretty well, it's made it a lot more exciting. As long as that continues, I think they'll keep it in play. But yeah, I would guess another 2-3 weeks seems reasonable. I'm really curious to see what happens. We don't know, and we won't find out till Thursday about this last little twist of the duos, and that's what happens to the person who is left after their partner is voted out. This week, it's probably going to be Terrance. Does Terrance? I know I've heard people saying, "Oh, Terrance may be a third nominee for the next week." I don't buy that. I personally think it's more likely that whoever's left gets some kind of little advantage just for virtue of being on the block and surviving. Like maybe Terrance gets to be. Maybe they get all new partners next week. See, that's the thing. I think a lot of people are assuming that everyone's going to be dual partners the same way from week to week to week. Well, those of us who have watched the challenge knows that you can shake a lot of things up if you change it up. What if Terrance is told, okay, you survived the vote this week, so you get to pick your new dual partner. You can pick anyone you want. He picks, and then they tell that person, say, okay, well, now you're alone, so now you pick anyone you want, and they work all the way down the line until there's only 2 left. I don't know. You may have completely different duos next week. And if that's the case, all the strategizing that's taking place by the leftovers, throw it all out the window because it starts over again. All right. Ma, still watch the mob dance every now and then. Well, you're a glutton for punishment. And Michelle saying, can Cliff do the mob dance? I'd have to watch it a time or two to get a little bit refreshed. I know the finger guns and the corner, as Tommy Bracco thought us. That was tough. That was a situation where I said, well, I sure am not going to not do it. I'm going to fit in as much as I can. So, and I think Tommy took real pride in that he could teach someone like me how to do the dance. Do the moves. I think here's what I proved. That Tommy can teach the moves to anyone, even a trained monkey, but he can't teach rhythm to anyone because when I watched the feedback, I certainly did not see any rhythm in my moves. But y'all know what was kind of cool about that mob dance, that flash mob thing? We did it. And it was fun. It was a nice break and everything else. But Julie actually showed us a clip of us doing the flash mob dance on the TV screen. So we got to watch ourselves back. And that's the first time that I'd seen myself on camera. Because you don't see yourself on camera when you're inside the house. That's the first time I'd physically watched me interacting with everyone else. And I remember watching it on the TV screen and thinking, God, you really don't have any rhythm at all. But at the end, I did. That's fitting in, and it was fun to do. But that was the first time that we got to see kind of the same viewpoint that y'all see from the other side of the camera. So that was always kind of interesting. It was really fun. But no, I can't do it now. I've got members of my family probably who forbid me. TikTok dances, things like that. I got to get a little more courage, a little bit more authorization from the family before I start going out and doing that stuff. Well, stay in your lane, bud. Isn't that the thing? So, yeah, I'm staying in my lane. All right, Shacky saying, thank you for the morning recaps. You do a great job. Well, thank you, Shacky. I appreciate the support. I have so much fun doing it. Now, I got to say, there's some nights where you watch and you think, God, there's either so many conversations that have no content whatsoever, or it's tough some nights to figure out what's important and what's not. Not so much for the last couple of nights. Yeah, I have a blast doing it. It's always a little bit. I'm a big fan of naps. I learned that when I was working on the rigs offshore and in the oil field. I could go for 36 hours as long as I could get a little 20-minute nap in every couple of hours or so. And so I kind of utilize that a little bit. Who would have thought I'd utilize that for a reality TV show? But yeah, thank you for the support. I do appreciate it. Patty's saying, what 3 guests do you want to leave next? Oh, you're going to get me to reveal my preferences and my choices, huh? All right, well, let's just accept as a given, which is dangerous to do in Big Brother. But for right now, I'm going to assume that Ameerah's heading out the door, right? After that, who would I want to see go next? Oh, Jasmine, maybe. I want Jasmine to be forced to win a competition to save herself. Yeah, I understand you hurt your ankle. Let's move on from that. Let's see how you do on some of these kind. Now she did win HOH, so maybe I'm not giving her as much support as she needs, but I wouldn't mind seeing Jasmine gone, and then maybe Daniel and or Nicole, just because I feel like they're too cocky in the game. So that's who I'm throwing out. And again, the three I'm mentioning are all three that have felt like they just had this game in the bag so far. So that's probably going to be my choice. We'll see if it happens. If you assume that happens, you're assuming that the leftover side is winning the HOHs and potentially the vetoes and stuff going forward. And I don't know that's necessarily going to be the case. I think we'll have a little bit of give and take, but not that I'd be okay seeing them gone. And when they're gone, I'm going to reach out to them. I'm going to say, welcome to the Big Brother family. I look forward to meeting you. And if I see them in person, I'm going to give them a hug and say, I loved watching you play. And I'm going to get to know who they are outside the house, right? Because what we see inside, I don't use that to determine what they're like in real life. So it doesn't matter who goes. I'm still going to reach out to all house guests and welcome them to the Big Brother alums and all of that. But yeah, I kind of think those would be okay. Now, having said that, if you start getting all of them out, does the house get boring the other direction? Every season needs a good villain or two, right? And if we get rid of all the villains, it maybe gets boring. So be careful about what you wish for. So I'll take however it goes. I just want to see the chaos. As a viewer, I want to see the chaos. As a player, chaos is difficult, but we'll find out. I really don't know. All right, Chaz is saying, if you put yourself in Amira's shoes, how do you find a way to survive? Would it take a dance funeral to be able to survive? Yeah, at this point, now that she's on the block, I mean, the only option is to target Terrance instead, right? So how do you target Terrance? Because no one's going to view Terrance as a threat. So you need to figure something else. Now, for those of you who don't know, Dan's funeral, was that season 14? They all blend together a while. Dan thought he was done. He got a 24-hour sequester where he was isolated from everyone else. And during that time, he came up with this plot to have a funeral where he just told everyone, said, look, I know I'm going. And just let's just have a ceremony to say goodbye to me. He basically made it look like he was throwing in the towel to everyone, I think, as part of it. He eventually told Danielle, one of his tightest allies, that he'd been a coach and she was his partner. I'm remembering that right. Said she was dead to him, and she burst out in tears. He really got a lot of people flipped around and everything, and it worked. He survived. So, yeah, what can Amira do? I don't think she can convince anyone that Terrance is this huge threat that has to get out. So if that's not the case, then you've got to be able to sell yourself as being a weapon that someone else can utilize. You got to convince people that holding on to you is the best plan. And I don't know how she does that. I think the women probably would support her. I think she's going to have to try to convince these guys that if you keep me, I'm happy to flip. I will make promises to you. Y'all know that I've got all these secrets from the other side. If you keep me, it's going to blow up the women. I'll support you. And I don't know. I don't have a good solution just yet. I think she almost is to a Hail Mary type position at this point. I don't know. Maybe you work with the knowledge that no one knows what the second half of this power is, that Terrance may get some kind of something that could shake up the game as well. And because I do think uncertainty sometimes keeps people from making big moves. During my season, Nick had talked about trying to get out Jack the week he ended up putting myself and Jessica up, and then later Nicole. He talked about getting Jack, but he was worried because we still had Camp Comeback, and he was worried that he'd send some big threat out the door, they'd win, get right back in the house. Now he's got a big, huge target that's coming after him. So maybe Amira can do something like that as well, of trying to create some uncertainty. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for you. I think it's within 1 or 2 votes right now, theoretically. Now, I did hear Daniel today saying that, hey, he's probably going to vote out Amira too. If she can't even get support from Daniel or Nicole, then she's done, I think, no matter what. But if she could just flip one or two people, would that be Brittany and Michael? I don't know. I think that's quite the stretch. I just don't see it happening, but never say never. Yeah, you make your pitches, you move forward. So I don't know. I guarantee I wouldn't be sleeping in there. I'd be figuring out. I think this is what you've got to do. As I think, you've got to find a big enough target that you can convince people to keep you so that you can go after that target. Kind of the way when they blindsided me and sent me out the door, it wasn't because they hated me. I hope not. It was more because they thought that Nicole was so upset at Nick and Bella that they could use her as a weapon to go after the two of them. So maybe you do that. Maybe if you're Ameerah, you blow up so much against the girls. You manufacture fake fights, knock down, drag out, grab Indy by the hair, swing her around. And you can't do that or you get booted. But you know what I mean. Make it look like you were so upset at the girls. Make it look like you think that they betrayed you and you have become their worst enemy. And make sure the guys are watching as you absolutely blow up those girls' games and create as much stress and tension as you can in the house. And then hope that maybe at some point in the next day or two, one or two of those guys may say, you know what? If we keep her, because Terrence is part of the old school alliance, he isn't on their side either. They may say, if we keep her, send Terrence out the door and let's keep her and let her go after Jasmine or Indy or someone like that, because she's going for full scale vengeance. Maybe that's the way you do it. You got to create some tension with the side you support and not let the other side know that. There's my guess. All right, Mark saying, can Michael win it all, or did he make a mistake by winning all his competitions? I've got very mixed feelings about that. I think winning those first few competitions has made people treat Michael very much more seriously, right? He's not considered just this throwaway person that we'll get at some point. So in some ways, winning the first two probably helped him. Winning this third one, I think I was going to say he absolutely had to get it. I think a lot of people may have used it on him anyway. So I'm not sure, but yeah, you got to be careful when you win that many comps to start with. You're always going to have a target on your back. Now, I have heard him say that he threw the last two HOH competitions. If that's true, if he's won all three vetoes and potentially could have won two HOHs, and he did come close, you know, that's a heck of a resume. So I don't know. I think it's short-term memory somewhat in the house. I think as long as he now lays back, you can't just keep winning over and over. If you win a few of them and then you go through a little bit of a dry spell, people kind of forget about it and they start seeing other people that are more powerful. And I think that's what he needs to do. He's won enough to make people take him seriously. Now he needs to let some other people win it and save his victories as though you have a choice of when you're going to win or not win. But save your best efforts for when your tail really is on the line, like a veto, and you absolutely have to win one going forward. Now, having said all that, this next HOH competition, if I'm Michael, forget the target on my back. I'm going full speed. I'm trying to win the next HOH until I get the other side's numbers down enough that it doesn't really matter, until I figure out what this twist is. I'm winning the next one if I'm Michael. I think the advantages outweigh the risk, but there are risks involved. He is creating that target. It's getting bigger and bigger with every victory. Here's the thing. If he's not going to win it, he needs to finish up pretty quick. He doesn't need to be finishing in second or third place. Either win the thing or finish in the bottom half of the competition, I think. All right, Marilyn's saying Jasmine has been milking the ankle quite a bit. Yeah, who am I to say what injuries are justifiably debilitating or not? I mean, I've seen pictures of her ankle. It does look pretty bad. But when I was in the house, I tore a calf muscle. Not a huge tear, but enough that it was very uncomfortable during my veto competition for while I was HOH. That was on a jet ski, taking clothes off. I tried to jump so hard and fast off the jet ski to hit the button. I actually tore a calf muscle. That was horrible. Going up those circular stairs, nothing fun about that whatsoever. But I had about a week or two where it was tough. Now there was no way I wasn't going to do competitions. I did that counting sheep, chasing sheep. Every time I tried to plant a foot, that was the most miserable pain. I was brutal. It was tough. That probably didn't help it at all. But there was no way I wasn't going to compete on any of those competitions. And I feel like Jasmine has kind of backed off and maybe taken a little easy when she shouldn't have. Just she didn't have to win necessarily, but just to show everyone else that you're giving 100% effort at all times. And I do feel like she has certainly milked it in terms of not moving around a lot in the house and getting a lot of people to bring her food and fix her food and wash her clothes. They're still washing her clothes. Even this week, when everyone's responsible for your own clothes washing, unless you're HOH, I heard her still telling people that, so-and-so was supposed to wash my clothes. Do you think they've done it yet and everything? Yeah, I think she's milking a little bit, but why not? Here's the thing I'll say. If you're milking your injury a little bit in order to make people see you as less of a threat, to think that, because I did a little bit of that. I kind of limped around a little bit more than I need to, but it was because I wanted people to say, oh, Cliff, he's got his injured leg. Why take him out this week? Because he's not going to win any comps down the road. He can barely walk right now. So if you're doing it as part of a strategy, I don't have any problem with it. If you're doing it so that you can get people to bring you food, and or if you're arguing that because you're injured, you shouldn't have to compete or you shouldn't be exposed to the block or anything else, well, then I'll take a little bit of an issue with it. But yeah, I think, let me put it this way. I think if the Big Brother house suddenly caught on fire, I have a feeling Jasmine could move a little faster than she's moving right now on that scooter. Don't you think? I kind of think that's the case, but whatever. It's tough to be injured in the house. I'll just finish with that. I'll finish positive and say it's tough when you feel like you've got an injury that's going to keep you from giving 100%, especially when you think your life's on the line, like OTEP, and you're having to compete knowing that you're injured, that you may not be able to give it everything. That is a little bit tough. All right. Seth 816. First year watching the feeds. Well, welcome to the live feeds. Would you say there's a bullying vibe to most of the house towards Taylor and Brittany, or is it normally like this when targeted? Well, I think is it bullying? Is it mean girling? Yeah, I think it is. Is this normal? Sometimes. And I think it's just an unfortunate part of human character, perhaps, that sometimes when someone stands out, because especially the first few weeks of the Big Brother house, when no one has really gotten to know each other that well or understood each other's games, everyone's just kind of saying, God, just don't let me be the first one booted. I don't want to be the first eviction from this season. So you get a lot of people with that anyone but me mentality to start the game with. Well, because of that, if you see someone over on the other side of the room that's maybe talking a little bad about someone else, you may not believe it. Yeah, you may say, I think they're being a little hard on such and such. I think they're being a little hard on Taylor. But you may also in the back of your mind be thinking, but if they're all talking about Taylor, if they're all kind of ganging up on her, then that means they're not ganging up on me, and my game survives for just a little bit longer. So I think the way Big Brother's set up, unfortunately, sometimes leads to, call it mean girls, call it bullying. A couple of weeks ago, I said it's like Lord of the Flies. Read the book if you haven't read it, where it's just easy to gang up on the weaker person, whether they deserve it or not. It doesn't matter whether they deserve it or not. It's all about trying to survive one more week in the house. And so I think we saw some of that over the last few weeks. We've seen it in other seasons. It's just, it's not confined just to the Big Brother house. Unfortunately, we see it in real life, school and everything else. And it's unfortunate, but Big Brother's set up to not always bring out the best in human behavior, but sometimes bring out some of the worst as well. So I think we're seeing a little bit of that. All right. Chaz, during the off season, would you ever consider watching your season, giving us recaps and talk about the details of what was really happening during that time? Yeah, that's interesting, because for a long time I've only watched about half of my season. And I just, as I pull up the live feed, sometimes one of my episodes pops up. And so I've been watching some of it with Sharon, with my wife, and telling her she's heard so much about the background, the inside scoops and all that. And so, yeah, I feel a little bit more comfortable maybe watching my season. Every year that I'm removed from it, it gets a little bit easier to do. So yeah, that would be kind of interesting to watch it and give y'all both the inside scoop about, oh, this is what was actually happening in the other rooms, or this is what they didn't show you, or the extra stuff, or maybe just what was going through my old wacky brain while I was in there. So yeah, I'll consider it. Ask again after the season. Ask again after I've had a chance for about a 6-week nap after Big Brother 24. And yeah, that may actually be kind of fun to do. We'll see. Yeah, good thought. I like that. I'll have to mark that down. All right, Brian saying it's possible one of the girls wins HOH and puts up Turner for payback and it backfires. Oh, that's the thing. That's what Joseph is trying. Not just Joseph. A lot of them. They're trying to put all the blame on Turner because the idea is if they get everyone upset enough with Turner that they want payback, they want vengeance, and they put Turner on the block, they'll only do it. I think they'll only do it if they think the guys also are upset with Turner. And that's why it's so important for someone like Monty to be saying, oh, Turner, he screwed my game. Taylor's going to come after me first chance she gets. Why in the world did he do? I can't stand Turner. If they make it seem like they also are upset enough at Turner, then yeah, it's a possibility that one of the either old school or girls wins an HOH, and maybe they put Turner up if the guys can convince them that they're all wanting Turner out the door, and then they flip and they send Jasmine out. And if they do that, that's 2 weeks of cons and backsides and everything else, and I'm here for it. But that's why it's so important, not just that they put Amira and Terrence up right now, but that they continue this charade through the rest of the week. Because if they don't, if word gets out, if anyone spills the beans that now they were all behind us from the very beginning, well, then at that point, if one of the other side wins the HOH, they're not going to put up Turner and Jasmine because they know that the other side has the votes to send Jasmine out the door. Instead, they'll probably put up Monty and Joseph, and one of those two guys will go home unless they win veto. And if one of those two guys wins veto, well, then they'll put up Brittany and Michael, and one of them will go home instead. So if they don't keep this act going for the rest of the week, then the leftovers face major issues if the other side wins HOH. And if it doesn't happen this week, it'll happen the week after. So, yeah, it didn't end today. This whole game, this whole play continues on for the rest of the week. We'll see how well everyone can play their role. So far, I'm pretty impressed. We got some actors in this house, I do believe, from Taylor to Joseph to Monty. They're all playing their role. All right, Chaz is saying, when you're back in the house, will you try to win the first HOH? Oh, that's a good question. First off, yeah, bring it on. Put me back in the house. Yeah, I think I would. I tried to win the first HOH in my first season. So that part of the strategy stays the same. Now, if I went in again, people would know who I was. That may not be so good. I'm afraid a lot of people would maybe say, man, Cliff made it to 4. He's boot his ass out of here. So I'm not an unknown coming in, which is a little bit different situation. But yeah, if I had the chance, I think winning that first HOH gives you the ability to consolidate some power and exact some promises from some people and make sure that you're involved in conversations. I don't think Daniel did his HOH that well to begin with. For whatever reason, he just wasn't as involved as he probably should have been in the way these groups formed. And maybe it's because Paloma was such a strong personality that she just sucked the air out of the room sometimes in terms of bringing everyone in and doing things. So I don't know. But yeah, I think I'd have to win it because otherwise, just like my first season, I think there's a lot of people that say, Hog, boot him out of here. Let's get rid of him while we can. So yeah, I'd go for it. Hopefully they'll give me a competition that doesn't involve hanging from ropes or sliding on Crisco or something. Give me something that old guy can win. That's what I'm here for. All right, Ma saying, just realized have not seen an intro yet. I know. We were talking about that a little bit earlier. None of the tipping the hats or waving or thumbs up or any of the things that the intros do so far. I gotta think they filmed it, but that's gonna be one of the questions I ask some of these house guests once I get to see them in the real world. Did y'all even film an intro? Maybe Big Brothers decided to go straight to the previously on Big Brothers scenes and all of that, but I miss it. I like the dun dun dun. I like the music. I like the spinning as they all do the little thing, the intros. You don't have to show it to us every week, but at least let us see it once or twice. I had a blast filming it, and I'm glad they showed it in my season. I hope they show it on this season as well. But you're right. I don't think they've shown it for an episode yet. Kind of miss it. All right, let's see. What else? Chaz is saying, remind me, Ma, who are all 7 members leftovers? Let me do that, Ma, if I could, just because I saw that comment. I've got Brittany. I've got Michael. I've got Taylor. I've got Monty. I've got Joseph. I've got Kyle. And I've got, who am I missing? I'm missing one of the guys. Monty, Joseph, Kyle, and tell me, who am I missing? Yeah, I rose up to the challenge, and now I can't answer it yet. Monty Joe Turner, the HOH. How can I forget the HOH? So Monty Turner, Robert, Joseph, Kyle, Brittany, Michael, and Taylor. That's your 7 that are the leftovers, and I'm all here for it. All right. What is 7:55? That goes so quick, but I have so much fun talking this stuff with you guys. Brian saying, a way to talk to Cliff. Oh, yeah, thank you, Brian. Way to talk to me is a 15-minute Zoom call bidding on eBay now. Won it last year. Great 20-minute call, 200-minute call. We talked for a while, didn't we? Yeah, thank you. Hearts of Reality. For those of you who don't know, it's a charity they do every year in Orlando. We raise funds for Give Kids the World Village. It's like a Make-A-Wish Foundation type setup for these kids that want to see the theme parks. It's such a great organization. Incredible. Anyway, I'm going back again this December, and as part of it, I'm starting to do some fundraising. And part of that is there is on eBay, and please check it out, whether you actually bid or not. If you go out there and look at it, I think it helps the algorithms and searches and all that. So just search in Cliff Hogg, and you'll find it. Cliff Hogg Zoom, I guess. But yeah, a 15-minute telephone call. We can talk about pretty much everything. I'll tell you about the current season. I'll talk about my season. Well, I can talk about growing loofahs or chasing sheep, whatever you feel like. And I'm not really strict on those 15-minute calls. I'll talk until I'll probably tire you out before we go the other direction. As you can tell, I like to talk. So yeah, if you can afford it, and if you're interested in some private calls, then yeah, we'll I'll set it up whenever y'all want to, and I'll talk your ear off. I'll give you all kinds of scoops. So yeah, that's out on eBay. Again, search for Cliff Hogg Zoom, and I think it ends in the next day or two. I need to post another reminder about it. But yeah, the thing is, $0 coming this way. It all goes to Give Kids the World Village, which, again, incredible organization. I'm so happy to be affiliated with them. It's a little tear-jerking when you hear some of the stories, but also so worthwhile. It's incredible. All right, 7:57. Guys, this is just I always like talking to y'all on Monday nights, but when there's so much going on in the Big Brother world, it just makes me smile. I've just kind of been excited about tonight to talk to y'all, just so we can share some things. And I know I've been doing most of the talking, but y'all been asking the questions, and I so appreciate it because I love Big Brother. I was a fan before I was on the show. I'm still a fan. Even more so when I get to see, this is why I watch a lot of boring nights on Big Brother, just so I can get a few nights and few days like we've had here over the past few days. It's just fun watching people find something within themselves, or even finding a way to connect with other people that maybe weren't always good connections between all these people, but people that are just able to come together and find a solution when it didn't necessarily seem like a solution was going to happen. It just kind of gives me hope for, I don't know. Yeah, we talk about Big Brother brings out the worst in human behavior sometimes, but I truly do feel like it sometimes allows people to rise to the occasion and prove themselves and do things that no one expects. And that's the part I like about it. That's what kind of uplifts me and makes me such a fan of Big Brother. Now, I like the backstabbing and the betrayals and all that, but I like people to get their golden moments as well. And I think we're seeing that right now. So yeah, it's so much fun. I'm absolutely loving it. All right, guys, I think 7:59, we're going to go ahead and shut it down. But thank you for being out here, for supporting me. I didn't say it earlier, but if you're out here first time or not, and you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. I appreciate the subscriptions. If you want to turn on notifications, it's going to make it that much easier to find out when I drop my everyday morning recaps or this show, or heck, if I do recaps of my season at some point in the road, you'll be the first to know. And while you're out there, if you want to hit that little thumbs up button, I appreciate that, right? I do appreciate that. And that applies not just to those of you who are watching right now, but those of you who are watching on replay as well. I appreciate you guys as well. Thank you so much for the support. Guys, y'all have a fantastic Monday. By the time we talk next Monday, who knows what's going to be happening in this house. I am so excited. So, guys, have a great one. SKD 143. Cheers, my friend. Long live Big Brother. I will talk to y'all later. Bye.